single flame can light a million more.
Ed, it's finally done, buddy. Ed, your 12 pill, 25 $10 biased in Class B. Ed calls me about a year ago and asked me to build him this amp. And I knew theoretically in my head I could do it, but I'd never done it. But theoretically in my mind I knew I could take care of this and do it. So we finally got her paid for, we got everything taken care of, I got all the parts ordered, and now I finally got down to where I could build it. And there's been a steep learning curve with this box. The bias, I had to change each one of the diodes on the output of the bleeder bars to bring the bias voltage down. The first time I keyed it, I had way too much voltage. I ended up popping a couple pills. So I overcame that problem. I don't like doing big boxes like this biased for B. They come a little flaky. That's why in the 2879 I probably won't build anything bigger than like an 8-pill biased for B. It's not very reliable. And the box runs real hot and pulls more amperage, but it worked out okay with this. I had to do quite a bit of hunting for the output tune to get the inductance correct for these parts. Get the capacitance right. I mean, there's like 380 puff worth of output tuning capacitance on this thing. The input side took like 140 puff to get it to lay down for the 6-port splitter. That was a little bit of learning curve to overcome. Each one of the 2-pill sections, did quite a bit of work on learning where the capacitance laid for each one of the sections to get them to operate right and smooth and in resonance. So it ended up being about 380. If any of you guys out there decide you're going to build one of these, don't hesitate to call me. I will gladly tell you how to do it. This is a giant pain in the ass to run into it blind and try and figure out how to make it run. But we got her going. Got sideband delay going. Got it going. So anyhow, let's take a quick 1080p scroll. Across the case. Ed wanted me to build this amp because he's got a big 600 amp supply that runs at 19.5 volts. And so we're going to start out chooching at 25 volts today. And I'm here to tell you that they rate this part at 28 volts because at 29 volts they start coming apart. Learned that the hard way. I went to 31 volts, and then on the key it was dropping to 29. And at 39 volts I was seeing 4,800 watts. Or 29 volts I was seeing 4,800 watts out of this box. But it didn't hold together very long because of the biasing. I think it would have held up better if it was in Class C mode. But ended up having to replace a couple transistors on that. 2. Like I said, it's been a learning curve. But this thing is going to chooch forever. The way he's going to run this thing. It's going to run and 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 run. Since he's not going to be overstressing the parts by going too high, it's actually going to operate a full 10 volts below where the parts are max rated for. This thing is tuned for 28 volts, but we're going to start, like I said, running at 25. So let me put the tin on this puppy and We'll start showing it doing some watts. I'll be back. Lid. This is amp number 2010 12 pill 2510 in class B. Now, what we got going on here is I got my Fluke hooked up to the leads here at the edge of the bench. I'm running off my magnetically regulated supply, going off of 2 nickel cadmium aircraft batteries at 24 volts apiece. Those are 55 amp hour batteries. I don't even know what the cold cranking amp on them are, but combined there's 110 amps worth of per hour. That means you can put 110 amps worth of current on both of those batteries for 1 hour before you see the voltage drop. And what we got here is the Fluke 337, and we've got it hooked up to the 24 volt lead so we can see how many amps this thing is drawing. And then what we got going on over here is this is the lead that is running the fans and the relay, and they're hooked up to these leads over here on a workbench. So we're floating about 1.5 to 2 amps worth of draw current. We're also going to use amp number 1867. This is the bench 2 pill, one of the bench 2 pills. It's got 2 Toshibas in it. We're going to use a Stryker 955. We're going to use a 5 watt slug between the 955, the 2510, and the 2 pill. Now when I show input tune from this thing, it's going to be the coax going down, going in here, out of here, and into this box. We'll see about a 1/4 watt refleg. Now let me tell you, that was a chore to get to. And also, let me tell you, any builder that says, oh, I've done this and it was no big deal, they're full of shit. Because this was a lot of work, and this took a lot of thinking, and a lot of time, and a lot of measurement. To take and equally break up the signal 6 different times and then recombine it back together with no other blueprint to go off of is a chore. But it can be done. What we're going to have over here, and these aren't going to change, that's the 1000 watt slug in PEP and 5X. It's a 5000 watt slug in Bird average, 5 watt slug in reverse back from the Bird 10,000 watt dummy load. So first things first, well, we already know what that puts out. It's 80 watts. Leave the amp on. Let's just key this sucker down with 80 watts of drive. Now remember, we're on 25.72 volts. We key, that'll fall to 24. Audio. So we're going to see about 800 Bird. Audio. And we're seeing about 1900, almost 2 grand. That was a lot of fun. So it sounds like when you pop the finals in your 955. I can't for the life of me figure out why. Yeah, that's less than like an eighth of a water reflex. Audio. I don't get it. Anyhow, with the 80 watts of peak power, audio, we're getting 2 grand out. And we're going to go ahead and hit it with a 2 pill. Let's shut the 2 pill down, or shut the 12 pill down. Audio. Audio. So about 500 Bird, or 500 peak. Yeah, 500 peak. About 200 Bird. So we're going to hit this with fairly low drive. And you could hit it with more, and you'd see a little bit more out of this. But at 25 volts, and when we're key, remember it's at 24 volts, so this is a full 4 or 5 volts below what it's actually rated to run on. Audio. Audio. Seeing about 3,800 peak and about 1,500 Bird watts. Remember, that's a 5,000 watt slug. Audio. Audio. Straightforward. Audio. Like I said, when you start to ramp the voltage up, that output power goes chink, 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 chink. Now look at what I'm getting out of this for amp draw. 140 amps. And that thing's putting out almost the same amount of current or wattage as like a 16 pill. With only a 2 pill hitting it.
Hello, BBI. Hello, BBI.
Alright, Ed, I'm going to change the power supply around. I'm going to take the batteries out of line. And we're going to go down in voltage to where you're going to run so I can show you what you're going to get out of it for output power. Right back. Okay, Ed. We're down floating at 19.3. It's about where you're going to be running at. And you're going to hit it with a 2 pill also. So we're still on a 5,000 watt scale.
Hello, audio. Hello, audio.
So we're seeing about 1,000 bird. And like you said, you're on a floating supply. So when you put a couple hundred amp load like this thing's pulling.
Hello, audio. Hello, audio.
You're going to drop down to about 17 volts. So you can expect this thing to comfortably do about 2,600 watts for you. All the time. On your 19 volts. And you don't have to worry anything about overvolting the pills or having any poor result. So roughly it's going to be comparison to a 12 pill 2879. But you're not going to have to worry about damaging the transistors whatsoever. You're going to hit it with a little 2 pill. About 300 watts in, 400 watts in, you're going to get about 2,500 watts out. It's that simple.
Hello, BBI. Hello, BBI.
Ed, she's set up as best that I can make it run for you, my friend. You do have a sideband delay switch here on the front. And an on-off. It's that simple, my friend. I'll box it up, send it out to you. Ed, and all my other friends out there in video land, my name is BBI. Without a shadow of a doubt, I am the biggest mud duck in Idaho. I started saying that 400 plus, almost 500 plus public videos ago. And then I've got another, 1,200 in private of new production boxes. Then I've got another 2,000 some that are repairs. It's been a pleasure being able to put all you guys 10-8 and straight. I appreciate every single one of you guys. I'll see you by 12 pill 2510 got down.